Whew.
Man. Not the best. Well, we should say real quick, you are going to sound a little bit different. Welcome to Post 90 Podcast. He's feeling a little bit under the weather and immediately just blew whatever you got right at me. So I may not be sounding great soon either.
Yeah, and this is the first time that we've said, let's just start recording before the game ends. That hasn't happened in a long time.
It takes a lot.
Typically, it only happens when a game is fully out of reach, and we're men that do believe in miracles. But
we've seen them.
Yeah, we've all seen them, and this one is surely out of reach at this point. I don't think there was an NYCFC fan that thought it was going to go this way tonight. I don't think there were probably a lot of neutrals that would have even thought it would have went this way tonight. No,
I mean, thinking about early on in the day when we first found out that, we saw the Barraza jersey up instead of the Sean Johnson. We thought that Gloucester may be starting. We were like, what is Cushing taking this too lightly for? I mean, this is Derby. We said here the last time we recorded that this was a very, very important game to him, regardless of the fact, that it's Red Bulls or the competition or whatever it is. I mean, we stated that this was going to be a huge game for us and for him. So, coming out of this with, one less player available, I think it might carry over because
I think regardless of any governing body making a decision on whether or not it should carry over somewhere, I think the club should have something to say to Thiago, who we're talking about the headbutt.
Yeah, probably an internal suspension if nothing else.
Something. I mean, you texted and you said send him down to NYCFC 2 for a couple games.
Yeah, and it sucks because in that game early on, it was like he was the only player really making any impact or bringing any chances into the team, even if it was a half chance or no chance at all. And it sucks because I was kind of battling you to say, he shouldn't be subbed off. Santi should, because Santi's the one who's on the yellow card.
Yep.
Basically hinting at the fact that it's more likely that Santi's sent off than Thiago, and then Thiago does what he does, which is stupidly, lets the game and the ref and everything like that get to you and have a moment of madness. It's, I understand if we were trailing, like I was telling you, if Keaton had gone through somebody, while we're 2-0 down, 3-0 down, I really wouldn't care. I would cheer it on, actually. But when we're 1-0 down, chasing the game, that's not the time. And it's such a stupid situation, too, where he
walked away from the guy, and then he came back to it.
In the first place, you kind of appeared to kick out at him. Mm-hmm. So it's not, obviously they're going to blow that up to try to get you out of there. That probably sounded...
I'm so sorry if you have headphones in. I just punched the spring on our mic.
But, it's like, obviously they're going to blow that out of proportion to try to get you angry, to try to get you a yellow card. The ref was already showing at that point he was very willing to give us cards, very unwilling to give the Red Bulls cards. And so, obviously they're going to blow that out of proportion and try to get you out of the game, and you literally played into their hand.
Yeah, I think somebody that we often talk about on this podcast, because, he has... a big enough voice in the Twitter world that is NYCFC, and for sure has always interacted with us, is Tommy, and he was talking about, aside from the fact that the ref, it appeared from the beginning of the match, was in over his head, had lost control. It started as early as Tati. We should have had a pen.
Within minutes. We should have
had a pen, and that's a whole different discussion. Where they talk about, players flop too much, so stay up and you can still get the call. Tati was punished for not flopping there.
Right. Yeah.
So that's a whole nother thing. But aside from the fact of the issue with the ref, Tommy was mentioning our issue with leadership on the field. Obviously not having Sean.
Yeah.
Chanot held the captain's band, and I didn't think anything more of it until I saw his tweet later in the game with Thiago, but it made me think about how when all the arguing was going on with Santi, my brain was like, who's the captain? Oh yeah, it's Chanot. Where is Chanot?
Where is he?
Because you see Keaton, Tati, Santi, and Alfredo, I think, completely losing their cool when Keaton gets that card. And I was just like, is there somebody that's going to, like, they might all
Gather
get
them.
dissension for this, or dissent.
Yeah, and Heber trying his best to just remove Thiago from the situation so he doesn't get further
Thiago
fines
literally
and everything.
by the neck.
I've never seen him act like that. It's insane. And yeah, those are the moments that you need a strong captain.
Yeah, in that situation,
is Sean necessarily sprinting up the field to get there? Honestly, probably. I think we've seen it before.
Mm-hmm.
But Chanot's got to be in there doing something, and
well, it's like
not arguing, but literally removing players so that we're not building up these yellow cards. Like you said, Santi could have gotten a red for a second yellow. It's rare that you see 2 yellows for the same thing.
Exactly.
When it's dissent, but when he's being swarmed all game, I mean, you understand those little calls. But what we really don't understand is the entire body of work. And like you were saying over text, it's like at some point these refs have to literally sit down and be like, okay, this is the decision that you made. It's like VAR for a player, but for a ref, it's like,
and how does this?
You literally decided to make this decision based off of this, and this was your view.
Go and watch film
based off of this camera angle. This is your view. You were right in front of it. Where do you see what you called?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see that Keaton touched anything but the ball? Where do you see that?
Do that?
Like or the foul on Thiago. It's like, oh, he's looking for it. Yeah, people look for fouls like that. Yeah. That's not written in the rule book. If a player wants to be fouled, I think everyone would love a free kick at the edge of the box.
Yeah,
everyone. If you polled all 22 players,
and the Red Bulls got enough of them.
I think I'd like I mean, if I had the option, I think I'd like a free kick at the edge of the box. Yeah. Personally, I mean, I'd look for that in the game too.
It's crazy,
but it's not written into the rule. It's a foul. It's a foul. If it's not, it's not.
I think it's. I don't know. I don't even know how he was assigned. Based on like you said, the body of work that we saw in this game, I don't know how he was assigned to a game of this magnitude. I'm not trying to blow it up like this is one of the biggest games ever or anything like that. But like, hey, this is a New York derby, in a U.S. Soccer Federation, whatever you want to call it, the U.S. Open Cup, a playoff game, a one and done. In what the MLS would consider one of the biggest markets that they want to attack in the country, and I don't know to have that happen. It's a massive fumble,
but that's not all of that about the ref is true and more, but at the same time you saw it in the beginning of the game. There was so much space everywhere for our attackers and our players to exploit. They didn't. We weren't smart on the ball. We didn't take our chances. We were poor defensively. We left Barraza, which he made a few mistakes, but we left him naked and afraid back there. There was a lot that we could have done on our end to fix the problems and to overcome the ref, but it was literally like we were playing 2v1.
Yeah.
The entire game.
Yeah, if you haven't heard any much older episodes since NYCFC has been on a great run from us talking about dark times, we're definitely the guys to tell it like it is, related to refereeing, but also related to the team's form. And like you said, it wasn't good, and we cannot just blame it on the refs.
Yeah, I just, real quick, I want to interject with something that I just found out. The game ended with a double red card. So 2 red cards, one to Tom Edwards, a defender for the Red Bulls, and the other to Maxi Morales. Somehow Maxi gets sent off in the end. We're obviously, like we said, we're recording this having not seen probably majority of stoppage time. I think after that third goal is when we decided to get in here.
The 93rd minute is when this started rolling.
So no Maxi as well, possibly. If there is that rule that it's a domestic cup, so it may roll over. I don't know if that's true.
I feel like
that could be fully FIFA knowledge. Who knows? I have no idea.
I think we're good. I think though, like we said, like Thiago probably shouldn't play, and Maxi.
Maxi, I'll let him roll.
He also probably shouldn't, just based on the pure volume of games. But then Philly is.
Philly's Philly.
I would say we were having conversations whether Philly as a regular season game this weekend was as big as the game we were playing right now.
Well, they're all big, and it's a situation where we've been spoiled for a while with the results going our way. But even like I told you, it was like we scored whatever it was 3 goals in the span of 4 games. Mm-hmm. We were getting results. We were hot in that sense, but we really, as a team, we were not hot.
Yeah.
And then we have the coaching switch after a break. So I expected, not to have a win last week. Mm-hmm. I expected that. I think the draw was amazing to come back. I agree with Christian that it wasn't, a disappointing result.
Yeah,
I think
I would say the same.
Fully, I was expecting way worse than that. Mm-hmm. Like historically off the break, we're bad.
Yep.
We have a coaching change. We have, all of these things stacked against us. Mm-hmm. So that was a good result. But, going back to our form, especially in this game, it doesn't look good for Cushing. Yeah. It doesn't look good to lose in a derby. It doesn't look good to have players losing their head. It doesn't look good to, make the defensive, offensive mistakes that we did today.
And to roll out there with the lineup that you did roll out there with. Right,
because you were essentially saying, you're essentially with your lineup saying you're looking past somebody. Not, mm-hmm. With the Chanot start that had to happen, there's things going on with the Thiago that knows how to keep his head. But the Barraza thing doesn't really make sense. Mm-mm. If you want to give Sean a break for the one game that he played with the U.S., and then the one game that he played with us, sure.
I think it was a little bit of a English mindset thing. You know how they... unless barring getting to like a final, sometimes so City, for example, like you'll see Stefan play through if not all of the FA Cup matches, regardless of what a tough semi-final, quarterfinal matchup might look like.
Yeah.
And then the finals, you get there and you slot in all the big dogs because it's time to get a cup.
Maybe it'll come out that like Ronnie promised Barraza that this was his tournament, mm-hmm. and he was going to play every single game. That in Nick Cushing was like, I'll honor it. Yeah. I don't want to disrupt or disturb, what's going on in this locker room. That could be true. Honestly, I didn't even thought about that.
Mm-hmm. Because that is something that you see overseas.
Yeah, fairly possible. So, I hope that's the case.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the organization, he really, when things were getting hot, he wasn't out there. Like, remember Ronnie? I think it was like his first game or one of his first games. He was shoving players. Mm-hmm. Where Nick Cushing was high, like on the touchline somewhere. Mm-hmm.
I think as we talk about Cushing here, and I think we are in a unique position with recording as quickly as we do, and hopefully getting this out as fast as possible to get in front of hopefully a lot of the
Cushing out.
Yeah, Cushing out, or just I was gonna say general fan reactions.
I just was saying things.
You hit the nail on the head with what I was talking about, and I think, we sat there in the press conferences, and so did the media, and he talked about how, in the unique way that he came into this role, at the unique time that he did, in midseason, off a break, with 3 games in the next 7 days. I believe we actually have midweeks for the next 3 weeks, so we're talking a game every 3 to 4 days for
a while,
for his first month. That started with 3 incredibly difficult matchups. Colorado, they are 10th in the West, but they're not a slouch team. Obviously, they were able to get a point against us at home, the Derby, and then Philly. And he talked about how when you come into a role like that with that volume of games, there's no room, period, to be making tactical changes. And he also talked about how, and this is something I think that is like a trend in the world, is like the committee of coaches.
Yeah. Mehdi looks like he's in more control than Nick Cushing from the sideline views.
Yeah, and as much as Ronnie would hold a head coach position, or Cushing holds a head coach position, especially in City Football Group, you see that committee of coaches where it's not total blame or total building somebody up if things go right, or blame when things go wrong. And because of that, it's easier to just roll with the same tactics. And that's basically what in most press conferences he echoed, is that there's not time for him to come in and completely change a system that would do way more harm than good. So really, all that he can really be knocked for is, I think, team selection, and then the passion that flows through him into the players to make them perform.
Yeah. Well, the problem is he, no matter what this season, he's going to be seen as the stepdad that came in, and he's going to be judged like that. It's, it sucks. But other teams that I've watched have gone through it, and that exact thing has happened, where you're the stepdad that came in late, and we weren't excited. It's not necessarily like we were, chomping at the bit to get Nick Cushing in the role and Ronnie out. We were comfortable in where we were. We were happy little kids with what was going on, and things were changed. Basically, pulled a rug under us. So, he's gonna get the bad end of some takes and some opinions.
He already has.
It is what it is. It's gonna be, until those results start turning green. It's not. Streets are not gonna be safe for him.
I think. We should take the same approach that we say with the refs, and look at the body of work over the next course of 3 weeks or whatever, with when we get past the midweek every week thing,
right,
and look at the bigger picture and say, okay, how did we actually, instead of looking at Colorado ending in a tie and Red Bulls ending in this shocking loss, maybe these are the only draw and loss we have out of these next 6 or 7 games.
You'd hope so.
Yeah.
You'd hope so.
If you're Nick Cushing, you certainly hope so.
You'd hope so.
But, yeah, I think hopefully we can look at it from a bird's eye view a month from now and say, that was a rocky start, but we're still first in the East, and, there's other hardware to challenge for.
Yeah, well, in other hardware that's worth, going after, so...
Yeah, and other hardware that's worth more than the Open Cup. That's my copium, dose of copium for the listeners today.
Well, it's going to be funny because I probably won't go on Twitter till tomorrow, just because I just don't want to be tempted to put out any copium into the world. But I'm assuming the Red Bulls are clapping back, something about what happened earlier.
I wanted to mention the Hunter kid. He got thrown into the little NYCFC group chat that we all have, and I believe after the third goal went in, he said, I'm having a pretty bad time right now. So his mentions must be the streets.
T's and P's to him.
The complete streets. Sign out of Twitter for the next 7 to
no matter how many times days. You tweet, this is for all of the fraudulent non-New York team, the New Jersey Red Bull fans. No matter how many times you tweet us, no matter how many times you cry in our comments, no matter how many times you show up to Yankee Stadium and scream about how we're in a baseball stadium and we don't have a home, you don't got a cup like us.
And they had quite a head start.
And you got a huge head start.
Huge one.
You don't have the cup. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to get yelled at by some Bradley Beal-looking guy.
Lewis Morgan.
Nah, that's your COVID pass. That's your COVID pass.
It can't be COVID. It can't be.
I'm no doctor.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my copium for the night.
I'm glad that we
you guys don't have a cup.
Yeah, I'm going to say I'm glad that we have a podcast. Thank you guys for listening to what was just the vent session for us to get over that matchup.
Imagine we had to just sleep on it.
Good, actually.
Imagine we just, because back in the day...
Yeah, like the Citi Field playoff game.
Yeah, well, because back in the day, a little sneak peek into our lives. Back in the day, we didn't have the money to go spend on games like that. So when we did, and we lost, and it was just extra bad, and we would have You know, we would come home and have sleep for dinner, and sleep and depression from the loss.
Sleep for dinner, depression for dessert.
And so it was extra down bad.
And then wake up and go to Staples at 6 a.m. for breakfast.
For something like this where we can just get it off our chest and wake up for work
and
again
now we
the
can
next
go
day.
To work tomorrow as happy individuals and humans. At least happier than the old us would have been.
People who can cope with the next day. Mm-hmm. You know, so thank you guys for that.
And hopefully listening to us going through those 5 stages of grief on camera and on mic pushes you guys through the stages as well. Like we said, try to keep it short. Try to get it out early, either Thursday or Friday morning, depending on when you hear this, and make the work day and the commute a little bit easier. So,
yeah. And if if you ever see a New Jersey Red Bull fan in the comments piping up, just remind them they don't have a cup, and we do.
Yep, and that's the end of that.
And we're gonna get 2 before they get 1.
That I'll bet money on.
At the end of the day,
or maybe not. But
no, definitely not. Anyways, we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.
Peace.